what sort of offers were you getting?
Well, we had an offer last year which valued the company at 50 million.
This man's at a different level of human evolution, man. I wouldn't have ever thought of that.
Do you still shop at places like Tesco's, or have we moved up to like Marks and Spencer's? $4,000 in the bank, living in Scunthorpe, to being now
a multi-millionaire.
It happens over time.
Hi, I'm Bibby's Food.
And I'm Josh Gudgeon.
And we're your hosts here on the Break Your Bread podcast, where each episode we have a good old-fashioned chinwag about some interesting topics, as well as occasionally being joined by a special guest or two. And on that topic, I'm pretty excited about the one we have today. I was a little bit worried at first because Josh told me that we were getting Jimmy Hill on the podcast, and I had visions of him like exhuming the corpse of legendary sports commentator Jimmy Hill. But no, today we have esteemed entrepreneur James Hill.
Esteemed.
On the Jimbo?
Jimmy.
Might just go with Jimbo anyway. But yeah, he's going to teach us a little bit about business. So yeah, I think we're going to learn something today.
Mate, I'm excited. Thanks for coming down, mate.
Thanks for inviting me.
What really pisses me off more than anything is there's two things. One thing I like and one thing I dislike about you. One thing I like is that you're an average sized human for once, and he's got a nice beard.
Yo, what is it with these jokes about you being short? Like I'm 5'10", that's
not a
average.
joke. It's
That's
fact. Like,
average.
it's fact.
Anyway.
But he's a good looking lad as well, isn't he? So he's a millionaire and he's good looking. Like, that's not fair.
You told me, you said he's a good looking. I thought, how good looking can he be, really? But then he turned up. I'm thinking, fuck, we need to put some kind of the main camera that's on Jim over here. We're going to put some kind of preset on it so it kind of warps him into looking a bit weird.
Make him
so
look
we
like
don't
a frog
look
or
so bad.
something.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. I mean, tell us about HairBurst. So obviously we know that is the title CEO of HairBurst? What's the official title?
Founder CEO.
Founder and CEO of HairBurst. So what is HairBurst to start with?
So HairBurst started from my interest in nutrition. So I wanted to be an entrepreneur probably from the age of about 18, 19. So I went to university and I was like, I don't think this is going to be any good for me. And that's a long story, but ultimately it came around from interest in nutrition, and that's why we started a business in hair, because it was 2012, 2013. And the companies I looked up to at the time, like My Protein, bulk powders, and that was like the first thing I ever spent any money on when I was 15, 16. I used to play sport. It was like whey protein, basically.
Yeah.
Don't know about you guys, but 15, 16, I was going to the gym and that's what you used to do. You used to take whey protein. So that was like the first consumer product I actually spent any money on. And at the time I was working at Asda on the tills.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if you can tell, but Josh is not particularly familiar with protein shakes.
Are you joking,
But I remember when I was a kid, I used to think, you'd think protein shakes were basically steroids, when really they're just like a food supplement, right?
My mum still thinks they are steroids. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember, like, I don't really do much in the way of protein shakes now. I'd rather eat my food, just eat a pure chicken breast or whatever. But yeah, I remember that.
So that was almost, that had my interest. Then I studied nutrition at uni, and that's where the business started. It's essentially a food supplement in the wellness category.
Yep.
And then from there it became what it is today.
Man, that's some going that, because I think at a young age to be able to bridge the gap between noticing that you're spending money on whey protein and that's like an active decision. Because as a general consumer of anything, you just sort of see a bit of market and go, I'll have a bit of that protein. You don't consider the business acumen behind it. I know I certainly didn't, and only recently you start to sort of bridge the gaps when you've done a bit of business or whatnot. But that's some going that at a young age.
And that was the age of 18?
The business started in 2012, so I was 23.
Jesus.
At the time.
I think when I was 23, I was still masturbating multiple times a day and playing Elder Scrolls or something. I didn't do anything constructive with my life. Oh, my mum doesn't watch this.
Can we clip that?
Get rid of that. My mum will be watching. I don't know why I said that. But what I'm trying to say is that's lots of... that's good business acumen and lots of foresight for such a young person at the time.
Yeah. When did you start your...
My YouTube channel?
Yeah.
I was like, God knows what, 29, I think. So I was late on, man. I was a late bloomer.
Yeah.
And I only started that because I hated my job and loved food. So, it worked out in the end.
Just to give people a bit more context, I guess, who don't know HairBurst, because it's the business is completely focused on women's hair as opposed to guys. So I don't know what the audience is and how the split is, but we've got over 1.5 million followers on Instagram. It's sold in pretty much most big, large pharmacy groups now. So like in the UK, Holden & Barrett Boots, Superdrug, A.S. Watson Group in Asia, and Sephora in Europe, and DM Group as well, which is like a big store group. So it's in like over, I think it's 20,000 shops globally.
Man, that is actually unbelievable. You know what's funny about you is like obviously you're quite a humble character, quite a quiet character. It's not you're not what I would have assumed as like as what we see online now as like successful entrepreneurs.
What would you assume?
I was thinking. I had visions of like a Pat Bateman from American Psycho. Like he was going to come in and like drop some like custom business card on the table and be like, "Yeah, this is what I'm about."
Yeah, like I just expected like somebody coming in, swinging the dick about, saying, "Oh, fucking, how much money they've got." That's kind of what I expected. I expected like a larger than life, what you see online. So maybe like the Dragon's Den type of people, or like that's what I envisaged. Like really, Alan Sugar. They're like really sort of
kind of in your face.
In your face, yeah. And like, you're the complete opposite, which is it's refreshing.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I've just kind of always been this way. Sorry, no, that's fun stuff. But you do, I don't know, it's quite interesting that because like what do you think about people who are like that? Like what when you
well I don't want to give compliments out, especially to this guy again, but what's most appealing about you actually is the amount of success that you've both got, but how sort of grounded you both are in both sides. So you're obviously really successful in business, you're really successful on YouTube, and you've built a career out of it. But your feet are firmly on the ground. You're not flashy like a Logan Paul buying sort of Lamborghinis and
fuck that guy.
Like you're not that guy. And for me, I know I've learned a lot from you about sort of how I'd want to carry myself going forward with any sort of success. Is like I'd sort of mirror both of you because I know I've known you for a little while. So like to see that, it makes you rethink like what society sort of deem as the Instagram lifestyle. Let's put pictures of a Lamborghini on, or let's put pictures of a Range Rover, and I'm on a private jet. You two are the complete opposite. It's refreshing,
I think what part of what that might be is there's been a change. This is the little I know about business, but I think there's a big change in the landscape of how businesses become successful now, regardless of what it is. And I think you don't necessarily need to be that hardball playing guy anymore, do you? So if you are not an introvert, but if you a reasonable, a nice human being, no reason you can't be successful in business.
Do you think that's partly where we're from?
Partly what? Sorry,
like we're all from around Leeds area. Do you think that's partly?
Yeah, I think it's the northern. I think that's a northern thing. Like it's a work. Well, I can't categorize it all, but we're all from working class backgrounds, so it's quite a jump to go from like the working class to, I guess, the elitist sort of style. Like it's a long way to go from where your roots are, isn't it? But I think you see some. I guess bigger entrepreneurs might have come from money families, so they've sort of got that. Is it a chip on the shoulder that that, and then they've got the success. It's a bit like Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's like, "Oh, I'm so successful," but his dad lent him $1 million or something. The story goes something like he got lent $1 million by his dad to start said company, and then scaled it. Whereas everyone else ain't got a pot to piss in. Like they start with. I started with a Canon 70D. I didn't even have a spare battery, and I had a kit lens, and I'm like, right, I need to make some videos. And then when I earned a bit of money off videos, I bought some more kit, and then you sort of creep your way up. So is that how you started? Did you start like from zero? Like what does the beginning look like for you?
$4,000 we had.
$4,000.
Yeah. So it was me and my two business partners. We started with $4,000. So to get our first product was a big challenge actually. So we wanted to build out a business in nutrition. We had $4,000, and I'm speaking to contract manufacturers. There's probably 15 to 20 in the UK that I spoke to. There's probably only that amount anyway, and they want big orders.
Yeah.
Like they're a facility that makes products for various different brands, and they want to get big orders in. And I'm ringing up with $4,000 saying, "Can I have like 400 products?" But they might make 10, 20, 50, 100,000 SKUs.
Yeah.
And we eventually got one, which was quite hard work, but we just had to really sell the idea that we were going to. Then HairBurst was going to be big, but it wasn't at the time.
Yeah.
And I can remember I was hoping to spend about $1,000 on the first amount of products because we wanted to keep $3,000 for marketing.
Yeah. And
I didn't realise that you had to add VAT on the cost. So I was like, I think I got it for it was like 2,400, 2,500, something like that. And then it was like another 800 quid. I was like, didn't realise that was it. That was going to be the cost. So we ended up with, I can remember it was 3,200 the first order, and we had 800 quid left to spend on marketing to build a brand. And that was it.
So how did you fund? So like, obviously, if you've spent your capital there, which was what all you, did you have a job at the time? What were you doing?
So after uni, I knew I wanted to do something in e-commerce because I was playing poker on my laptop, and I had this vision of like, I basically had this goal. This is like when I'm not like 22, 23, and like 40 grand was like my number for some reason. I was like, I wanted to make 40 grand a year. And I was like, what can you get with 40 grand? But I was, after uni, I was playing poker, sorry, go back. So I was playing poker on my laptop, I didn't have to work. And like my vision of working when I was younger was like, I worked on tills at Asda. I worked as a glass collector in a bar on like £3 an hour. So I didn't want to do that. So I was trying to find something that I enjoyed. I didn't really find that sort of traditional plan like that interesting. So I was like, okay. I had a friend. I started playing poker at uni actually with just my mates, and I was like, I won a few games. I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at this. I won like 20 quid or whatever. And I actually had a friend back at home who was doing it full time as his job. I had a conversation with him, and he was like, oh yeah, why don't you give it a go? So I started reading like loads of poker books, and that was kind of like, and I started to make money basically on my laptop doing that without having to work. And I was like, this is like really cool because I could travel, I could do whatever. Ultimately, that was never going to be sustainable. And after a few years, I realised I need to build an actual business.
So were you disciplined in that then? So did you sort of look at it and go, I need to, for my 40 grand, I need to earn £100 a day on poker? And then, because I mean, like I'm sure there's many people that's gone down a rabbit hole of trying to claw back the losses. But I know, like, I'm pretty sure like the day trading crypto guys are like, if you can trade and hit sort of £200 a day as a profit, you turn the laptop off and go away. Did you have that discipline?
It was people always think poker's gambling, but it's almost like a game of chess with luck involved. But the way I used to work it out was I'd play games for like 20 quid a game, and if I played 10 roughly, I'd always win 6 out of 10.
Right.
Because of the luck factor. But that's all I lost 4. So I won 2 games, and if I played it for 20 quid a time, I won 40 quid. So if I played 10 games a day, I'd make 40 quid. If I played 20, I'd make 80. Yeah. It was just a case of numbers then.
Did you have like a set amount of time that you would play, like a clocking on to, you think, right, okay, I'm going to get up today at 11 o'clock or whatever and play for this amount of time? Or yeah. But
it was quite, so the poker sites were mostly in America at the time, so it was through the night.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a grind. And that's I was like, well, it was great because I could make money, but it wasn't a huge amount of money. But I was probably like 20 grand, say. So it was like almost just like the same as working a job. But I was up all night doing that for ages.
That in itself is really cool. It's interesting that's kind of from what your your career as a businessman was born, like just not wanting to be part of that 9 to 5 grind. Because a lot of people, I think, if they could do that, would even enjoy that, like earning that much money from, all right, you're up at night or whatever, but there's a freedom in it, right? And that you're not going into an office and all that stuff. Yeah. So that's interesting. Professional poker player as well. That should be in your social media bio somewhere, I think. Ex-professional poker player.
I'm no good anymore. So that was kind of a bit of a catalyst for me because it was, I can do it, And it's like a confidence thing as well.
Yeah, that you can earn money outside of employment.
You can. Yeah. And I didn't have, because I was useless at school. Useless. Like I got, what was it? GCSEs. I think I got 5. You had to get 5 C's to get into college, and I got 5 C's. Yeah. Like I was like always just scrape the barrel with that. Just had no interest.
Do you think that was from like not from not being smart enough, but just not interested? Because I know that's what that was my thing at school. Like it wasn't that I wasn't smart enough. I just wasn't interested in it. So I just did the bare minimum to scrape my 5 GCSEs, just to be able to like say I've got my GCSEs so I can get out.
But I didn't realise that until well down the line. I just assumed I was stupid at school because that's what the system tells you. How did you do at school?
Yeah, really well. I was always a naturally bright kid, so I'm I don't know, I'm not as successful as you, so like I suppose that tells you something.
So sorry, just to go back to the poker thing. So that was the first thing that I did, and I was like with my brain.
Yeah,
that was actually like pretty good at, and I got loads of confidence from that. And I think confidence it comes in many different ways and forms, and people can take confidence from whether they used to be good at playing football or pool or tennis or whatever. It's like a confidence, and I didn't have that with my mental capacity, because school told me I was stupid. So it was like, that was really important. I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for my mate who was playing, which is Chubb. So shout out to Chubb.
Oh, get in, Chubb. That's inspiring, actually. That's a proper valid point. That never even crossed my mind. But you're damn right. You know, like if the sort of if the system that you're in, and you need to get these grades to be considered smart, if that's a way to sort of prove that you've got it between the years to do something for yourself, like what a kickstart.
How did you have the confidence to do your channel?
Mine was mostly born out of hatred of working a 9 to 5, so we have that in common. But yeah, I hate I never saw that what I do is making content on YouTube as anything that would earn me money. When I started, I didn't even know you could earn money from it. Legitimately, I had no idea.
So why did you start it?
For fun, because I've always been into creative stuff. I used to live in the gym as well. Like I used to just love to do stuff that wasn't work related. So it's kind of just an escape for me to put these videos together. And after a while, you get like a small cult following, and those people, to a degree, depend on you. I really love this video, so I want to see the next one. And that for me was something I think I always probably wanted to do, but again, didn't realize at school. I could never have been like a professional stand-up comedian or whatever, but like there are different types of value you can add to people's lives, and entertainment, whatever which way. So yeah, for me it was I don't think been, maybe at school not particularly confident, but from the age of from adulthood I don't really give a shit what people think. So I've had that level of confidence, and had it failed, it wouldn't have been a big deal to me, because I never expected it to pay out. Just the fact that I can now do it for a job is a bonus, really.
Great.
Do you think? I think like failure is quite it's a weird. I guess it's a weird word because I think you can try a bunch of stuff in life, and it's only considered a failure if you actually think that's it. It's the end, and it's the end of you for what you've done. But I know, like, I've tried all sorts of shit in business, in content creation. I've done podcasts in the past that have never worked out. I'd never consider them a failure at all, because like all those learnings from those is what's led to this point here. And I'm sure you'll have seen that with some of the stuff that you'll have done in the past. It sounds a bit wishy-washy, but it's true. Like, it's not a failure until it's all said and done, and it ain't said and done. So.
It's something to say for, like, where do you think you got your confidence from? Because you were initially in the army, is that right?
Well, yeah, I went Navy. I went to sea. I didn't have much confidence sort of leaving school, and I just wanted to travel. So like I was working at a place in Dewsbury. It's funny, I went to sixth form. I just about scraped through GCSEs, went to sixth form, and I think I started in September. Before by Christmas had hit, they kicked me out because I spent all the time in the common room playing like poker, and like I was just winning loads. I was winning money. I didn't want a lot of money, but like I earned a bit of money just sort of gambling and stuff in the common room. But then they kicked me out, and I was like, I've got to get a job. So then I had to go get a job at a place in Dewsbury, which were proper shit.
Was it?
And I was like, is this life? I was like, is this like I'm 17 years old, and I'm driving from a little town in Heckmondwike to Dewsbury, going to a job in the it was winter as well, so it was even worse. So like it was dark when I set off, go to work all day, and it was dark when I left, and I'd come home, and then everybody there were miserable, telling me how miserable they were all day, and I was like, I can't do this. And it was just by chance that somebody there were like, have you considered joining the Navy, this certain section of the Navy? And I was like, yeah. As soon as he told me, it was like, you'll get a trade, they'll pay you a good wage, you'll get to travel the world. And as soon as he said that, I was like, I'm in. I went home, signed up, and sort of the rest were history. And I went in and I did 7 years, but halfway through I realised I got some confidence up, and I looked at some of the officers that I was working with and for, and I thought, I could do your job, Yeah. I didn't have the qualifications, but like I know I can do your job. I had to resit my maths GCSE twice, so I would probably like I had to go to like Bradford College when I was like 19 with 16-year-olds to do my maths GCSE twice. But I eventually got like an A, which I needed to then go do advanced mathematics for the engineering. And yeah, I went for officer training, and that's all been good, stood me in good stead to set up a business, and then eventually start creating content, because I, again, had the confidence, like it couldn't have got any worse than that. So if I've put content out online and it flops, it's better than I would literally get the piss taken out of me by 16-year-olds at Bradford College. I'm like a 19-year-old man. I'm like, who the fuck's this guy, But yeah, that's
when that just reminded me of something. So when you're saying I could do your job,
yeah,
that was a big thing for me. So before I started, I had a job at a agency in Leeds. My job was in sales, so I was on 18. It was 18 grand. I was 23, and I'd saved money up from my Phones for You days, which we can get into later on. But it was, my job was to speak to business owners and get them to spend money with our company on marketing. So it was like more traditional stuff like SEO, PPC, like anything to drive traffic to your shop. Doesn't matter if you sold T-shirts or sunglasses or whatever. That was I would speak to the business owners, and I'd speak to these business owners. And even though I'd only been doing it for a few months, I was like, I think I could do your job. But then I couldn't because I had no money. I didn't know at the time. I kind of knew where to start, but I wasn't quite ready for it. But just speaking to people who had these businesses, more traditional businesses that wasn't actually fully online yet. And I was like, yeah, I think I could do that, because I was speaking to them and realizing that I knew stuff that they didn't know. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So when you're saying that, it just reminded me of that, because it's like having exposure to more stuff.
Yeah.
Is just great for your learning process, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell us about the Phones for You days then. Like, obviously that seems like a bit of a pivotal point in your career. What were going on there then?
Phones for You. So I
wait. So before does Phones for You still exist in any form?
It's gone.
Was it purchased, or was it just was it liquidated, or what?
So Phones for You used to sell. Did you ever get a phone from Phones for You?
Did I? No.
So they used to sell contracts for Orange, Vodafone, and O2.
I think I have like a point as well of like, if there's a business which has a number in the title of the business, I'm like, that's cheap as fuck. Pack it in.
Everyone copied that name.
Yeah. Then you'd see 4 in the middle of everything. It's like the word
Bands
4 is not that long, right? It's 3 characters. Why do you have to use a number 4? It's not cool. It's not clever. Anyway, so
everyone had that. Everyone. I used to see it all the time once I started working there. Like Vans for You, like whatever. But so I was doing my poker. I knew I wanted to do something else, but I actually went traveling for like 6 months to Thailand with my poker money, and I was like playing when I was away and stuff. So I saved a bit of money doing that, did the traveling thing, and that's basically set my goals for me, because it was like, in Thailand you can get a hotel for a tenner. The sun's like unreal. Yeah. The climate's amazing. You can eat chicken on a stick for £2, and you go to the gym for like £1. So it's like, you could literally live like a king there.
Thailand.
We need to go to
chicken
Thailand.
on a stick. That sounds delicious.
for nothing. So obviously you have to get there, which costs a few £100. But that was like, I just wanted to do more of that basically. So I had the vision of doing e-commerce from that, but hit a bit of a stumbling block, and I needed to get a job. So it was like, right, I spoke to a few friends, went for an interview for Phones. We didn't actually get the job. I got like second reserve or something. So I've gone for my interview, and I can remember being nervous for some reason. I was like, I proper wanted to get it because I wanted to have a proper job with like a stable income at the time. And I had a phone call like 2 days later going, oh, we really liked you, but you haven't got the job. I was like, all right, where do I go now? I was just living at home with my mum and dad. And then about 2 weeks later, there was like, 2 people have pulled out, so you're in. So I was like, right, great. Anyway, the Phones for You stories. So I was on like, I think it was 16 grand with a potential little bonus. But what I used to do was, people would come into the store. And obviously, if you're going in to buy a new phone, you've got an old phone. So what I'd do is I'd do the process, do the deal with the people who wanted the phone. I'd get on with them because I just used to chat and whatever. This is actually in Scunny. And then when we'd finished selling the phone, I'd be like, oh, what are you doing with your old phone? And at the time, it was iPhone 4. Was like, everyone had an iPhone 4 going to an iPhone 5. Oh, what are you doing with your old phone? They'd be like, I don't know. I'd be like, oh, I'll buy it off you if you want. Do you want to sell it? I'd be like, some people would say yes. I'd be like, right, how much do you want for it? And they'd be like, how much is it worth? And it was generally worth about 80 quid. So I'd be like, oh, I'll buy it off you for 80 quid. But you used to be able to sell it on eBay for 180. So I'd go, people come in, buy the phone. What are you doing with your old phone? I'd buy their old phone. And then I'd go to my car. I had like a bit of cash saved up in my car. So I'd just buy these used phones off the customers. So I might buy for about 4 in a day or 5 in a day. I'd have like a few £100 extra. I'd do it on eBay. Usually sold for 180. So I'd pay 15% commission, pay for the postage. And I was quids in. So I was doing that for...
This man's at a different level of human evolution, man. I wouldn't have ever thought of that.
That is amazing.
So, and that was like really important, because that was my first step into e-commerce and selling things online. And I was like, because at the time I was like, I need something to sell.
Yeah.
And I was just stupidly like, I don't know, it just came from something. So that was That was the first, and then that was really good for me because it was like I had something to sell. It just happened to come from the customers of Phones for You, and I would just buy it off them. But it was like going through the process of get it, package it up, put the bubble wrap around it, stick the label on it, take it to the post office, go. Which is how HairBurst really started. But that was, without that, I think looking back, that was really important.
That's so important. And I think if anybody's listening to this and thinking like about if they ever wanted to become a business owner or entrepreneur, like that's definitely like a valid trait. I know when we were going through our basic training, you got paid all right, but there's always money to be made, isn't there? My granddad's always been a bit like a wheeler dealer. And I used to do the same thing. Like I'd go on eBay or Gumtree and I'd look in like the local area and find like if the latest Xbox had been released or the latest PlayStation that didn't want to be used for Christmas or whatever, they were always cheaper than what you could buy it at like our recommended retail price. So if you have got that little bit of capital and you know that the margin's there, it's a no-brainer. I remember doing that a few times when we were in training. Like I can't remember which Xbox it was. Like let's say with 360 or whatever. I used to buy them and then sell them on Gumtree again, and I used to sell them before I even bought them because I'm like, I know a guy's got one. So we were training over in Fleetwood. So like I know that somebody was selling one in Blackpool. I could sell it to a dude in Fleetwood or Liverpool. And it was the same with like, the trainers like Adidas or Yeezys. When like we're getting out raffles, we knew we had a bit of capital to buy them. But as soon as you bought them, they were instantly worth,
I just want to take this opportunity to say I'm not really like a business affiliate of Josh's. In case anyone's looking at all this weird kind of wheeler dealer, Del Boy stuff, I'm not into that. So
no, but it is that opportunity, like spotting a small opportunity to make a little bit of capital and then reinvest in it is what kind of business is built on. I guess it's like you're the most successful business owner I've ever met. So it's quite good to know that you kind of started at a similar place.
Got to start from somewhere, haven't you?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about what's the start days look like for HairBurst then? So what did year one look like? How did you take off? Were you packing him in your back garden like the Gymshark dude? He were, working at Pizza Hut and then shipping them out on an evening, wasn't it?
Gymshark's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing business. We in terms of the start, it's probably, if you've seen Ben's videos, it's probably similar, but obviously a very different category and nowhere near as big.
Yeah.
But it was a case of, another thing that was like super important for us is we were like super early in the whole influencer Instagram thing, like super early. And so what year did you start your...
You're an influencer.
I hate that word. I started, you wouldn't have asked me, right? But
was it?
2015, I think. I've been going 7 years pretty much this January. So, but yeah, that was about the time when there was the biggest shift, I think, especially with the advent of, when Instagram was bought by Facebook and whatnot. And Instagram's a more visual medium, right? So that became kind of like the cool one to use. So I guess for a lot of businesses, that was the point in time which you could take the opportunity of people with large fan bases for basically doing nothing, which is what most influencers are. I said it.
So you was YouTube predominantly? But
yeah, I have like Instagram, but nobody. I've got like 130,000 followers on there or something. Nobody gives a shit. But like,
that's loads.
It is loads, isn't it? It's like
it's not that many, man. But like relative to YouTube, where there are 1.6 million people watching the videos and stuff.
Crazy.
And Facebook, I only realized this the other day. I have like 750,000 people that follow my Facebook page.
So would you use those channels to move people to your YouTube channel?
That's predominantly why. The only thing I post on there is like, there's a new video out, go watch it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So I don't really put that much stock in. When you see people like, I watch Josh's stories all the time. It's like him on a train. I'm like, nobody gives a shit, man. Why the fuck are you posting that?
you're normally the prick on the train next to me.
But so I'm kind of curious, like how did you originally? I'm changing tack here a little bit, but how did you originally like formulate the product you wanted to sell? So your first product you talked about. How did that come about?
So this is good and bad with HairBurst. We can get back onto the market influencer stuff in a moment, but starting the product. So I had interest in nutrition. I would spend like hours just reading like nutrition journals to understand what ingredients actually meant.
Man, you're like me. Like, I'm a proper geek for like nutrition and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like, can you give me a job? Go on, let's go.
But it was like, I kind of always knew that I wanted to make a good product. because everyone always says like the best marketing is having a great product, right? So we were like, I definitely overdid that, and we could probably start the business a lot quicker if I didn't put so much effort into that. But it's almost like continued throughout the business now. So when we launched our first shampoo and conditioner, it took 2 years, and it could have probably taken 8 months. But I was just so determined on getting the right thing. It might be a bit of a perfectionist thing going on there, I don't know, but it was always a case of we need to make the best product for our customers, and that's what's going to sustain the business.
That's integrity though, isn't it? I mean, and especially in the whole influencer space, we've seen how bad it's been with Fire. We're at Fire Festival as an example. Have you seen that documentary?
Yeah.
You know, like that was a proper shit show because people are just peddling products or services that they don't actually believe in just because they've got a bit of dime. And there's a little bit just like a faceless PE firm at the top going, we need to sell X amount of units to, It's
probably the same as when, when you did I was listening to one of your podcasts went out yesterday, and he was talking about how when you start eating, you're fine, but when it's like the setup, you're like, that was like the same for me, but making shampoo. If that makes any sense.
I get that. That's a funny little. I won't take too much time with this story, but I read about. Do you read about there was a guy who he set up the polar opposite essentially, or he was addressing the polar opposite of you. He was addressing influencers, and he conned them all. He sent. I think he got like 5 or 6 fitness influencers, right? And he sent them like a proposition. Said, "I'll pay you." I can't remember what the amount of money was, but I'll pay you 1,200 quid, say, to do a post on your page, a couple of story posts to sell this fat burning product, right? And they all agreed. They all signed the contract. I don't know what the payment terms were, but he said, "I'll send you this is the date it goes live. I'll send you the list of ingredients so you can look at it for your perusal. Make sure you're happy with it." Not a single one of them looked at the ingredients, and one of the ingredients was cyanide or arsenic or something. Obviously, this product didn't exist, and he was trying to con him to show essentially that influencers would have done anything. They would have sold anything for money, right? His thing was like exposing people, a little bit like your mate Mike Winnett, exposing people. But that's like the opposite. So because there are a lot, you'll know, in the supplement world, you could sell essentially anything that's a proprietary blend, right? Especially in fitness. So maybe not hair products, but like if you look at all the fitness supplements that are out there that don't have the efficacy that they claim to have. So it's good to see a story of integrity and taking 2 years to develop a product which works, which is...
Going back to the influencer thing, like when we started, it wasn't even influencers, it was pages. Now, I'm probably going back in time here a bit, but it was Facebook and Instagram pages. So you'd have like a page for like nails or a page for a location, and people would post that, and it was like they weren't influencers in terms of like people. There was obviously people who ran the page, but they were creating these things of like they're good pages. Like if you was interested in a certain topic, it's almost like a bit like what Pinterest is now. Like if you want to go to find a good kitchen, you'll go on there and have a look. Like that was Instagram back then, but for different topics. Obviously for the beauty category, which we were in, that was great because we could pay these pages like 20 quid, 30 quid. And we had to do that because we only had 800 quid left out of that initial budget. So it was like 20, 30 quid. And then we'd get some promotion for our business. And that was huge for us, huge.
Yeah, because I imagine that world's been quite diluted now. Well, we know it has, hasn't it? Because I mean, like, there's so many Facebook pages or groups now that are just so diluted with shite. It's a bit like the YouTube game when you first kick off. I don't know about you, but everyone will join various YouTube growth groups or YouTube channel support groups, and it just does not work. Like somebody will just post a random link in there and say, "Go check out my channel, I'll do this," but it's just flooded with shite. Whereas I guess back then, it still had a bit of.
We were. That like you always need a bit of luck and a bit of good timing, and that was our break because there was nobody really knew the power of that. At the time, like nobody knew that really, and like when I said I used to go around and meet these business owners with my job when I was at this agency, like there was companies there who were spending 10, 20, 30,000 a month on like pay-per-click advertising through Google, and I'm like, you can literally get the same amount of traffic for like 50 quid if you just pay this page.
That is wild.
And I was like, at the time, it was like, I know that.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that, but not many other people did know it. And it was like, that was like almost like a bit of a goosebump moment where it's like, right, this is a great opportunity to build what I wanted to build, as opposed to going more of a traditional route.
Than to strike while the iron's hot.
I was just about to say that. I really was.
We're in
That's
sync
weird.
now.
Yeah, it was a bit scary actually.
So back to working with influencers then.
Yeah.
What's it been like leading up to? So what do you say? You got 1.5 million followers on Instagram.
Insta, yeah.
So what through the years? I imagine you're a little bit more detached now, or maybe not. But what was it like working with influencers over the years? I'm sure you've seen the good, bad, and the ugly. Like, what's it been like?
There are no ugly influencers. Don't you know that? We use filters.
Not aesthetically.
So we, the price has gone up, that's for sure. So back when we started, it was, I mean, I don't actually, within the business, I don't actually work in that side.
Yeah.
But we still use like a lot of influencers today for our business. We are very selective in terms of like the people that we want to work with, the people who send the right message. And we want to make sure that you work with people who identify with our customer. In terms of how it's changed over the years, I do think if you go back to the start, it was very much like the Wild West, like you were talking about. With it was almost like, I don't think brands understood the power of it, but I also don't think the influencers understood the power of it, because they would charge. They wouldn't know what their value were. It was almost like it was the Wild West, but it's definitely been refined now, and there's obviously it's a huge industry now.
But we're in Vietnam. Sorry, for those that are listening, there's a helicopter going overhead. So, like I said, me and Beard, we haven't met it yet. So we're still in our little office.
Don't tell people where we are, man.
We'll beat that out. Us. But sorry about that. The Vietnam.
Probably can't even pick it up. I don't think.
We'll find
out.
out.
You can't.
When did you start to get? I mean, you must have had people approach you for various different endorsements for.
Yeah, when we go off, I'm going to ask you what you normally pay people, so I can make sure I'm charging the right amount. But yeah, I, to be perfectly honest, I very rarely do. Like if you watch my channel, or certainly if you look on Instagram and stuff like that, it's very rare that I do them, and that's just because I can't be asked. Really, I'm really lazy, and I don't like. For me, it's a little different, I guess. If you're kind of like a traditional whatever influencer, if when I think of the word influencer, I think of people on Instagram who are like models and whatnot, and that's fine, do what you like with your life, but to me that's not like I entertain people, right? And I don't like the idea, unless in the few occasions when the product or service has been right, I think there's some value for my subscribers, then I'd never do it. So like if somebody comes up and says, can you advertise, the big thing for me is often a sticking point is I get beard oil ones a lot, right? And they'll be like, right, okay, as part of this, you've got to say this is like the best beard oil you've ever had, you've ever used.
What about if it's not?
Exactly. And I'm like, look, mate, you could pay me 20 grand. I'm not saying it's the best beard oil I've ever used, because to be perfectly honest, in that niche, there's very little difference between your top end beard oils and cheap ones. You know, it's probably not going to be world changing. So. Yeah, I get asked a lot. I just say no most of the time.
And that's like when we talk about like integrity, or like what I've learned from knocking about with you for the last few years is I guess when you're first starting out in YouTube, you kind of want that first brand deal. You're like, amazing. But then you see some creators that have done it to death. Like one of my favorite sort of creators is Peter McKinnon, who's a camera dude. But back in the day, it was sort of vlogs and tutorials, and it was really fun content. But now there's a product pitch in every single video. And I don't like it. You know, like you kind of feel like this video has now been made just to peddle this product, which I'm not like. It's frustrating. And then when I look at the channels that sort of we've grown, so we do we manage and shoot for Ben Pearson. So we launched his channel, and it's up to like 60,000 subscribers within sort of 4 months. And it's like a 50-50 split in the sense that without his story, it would have never have grown to what it was. But then with our production and what we've learned about YouTube and how to sort of push it out there, so it's been a nice little growth. But with that has come more sort of brand endorsement deals than you could ever imagine. And Ben being completely green's like, we should take this. And I'm like, I've listened to Adam and we haven't took any of them. None, because it's like, we need to pick one that's right. You know, we've got like a pure audience that turn up week in, week out. You're talking of a channel of 60,000 subscribers to do 30 to 50,000 views a week. Is a lot, like 50% of your audience. In my experience, there are some really good companies that I've worked with, like Papa John's. This is not sponsored by Papa John's, unless you want to give us a call and sponsor the podcast. But every time I've worked with them, they've been cool. You know, like it's been me eating some food which I know people are gonna enjoy. It's organic. I'm gonna say this is Papa John's have paid for me to go down to HQ and
give me a big sack of money or whatnot, and I'm going to eat some pizzas. And people, there's a level of humor you can use, and people will buy into that. And I know it's going to be enjoyable for people, and they're right. But then there are other brands that have asked me to do things which are dishonest. A lot of people that I see will essentially sell anything if the price is right. And I think for me, that's not, especially something that has like a really loyal audience, I don't see them as marks to sell to. I think that sometimes, like I say, it can be of value to sell things to your audience, but not at the risk of saying something which is dishonest. And I think there are always going to be like good companies which have that same outlook when they're approaching influencers, and those that want to say, okay, we'll give you $3,000, but you got to say this, that, and that, Yeah.
So what does it? So just back onto obviously this topic. Back in the day, can you give us an example of a cost of what it costed? When you were first starting out to get a endorsement with a particular person that you wanted to work with that did sort of align with your brand versus what the rate is now, as an example. Can you give us just so that the viewers or listeners have got like a figure to marry up to?
It has to be like 20, 30x, I would say. Like for what you'd pay 20, 30 pounds for, you're looking at £600, £700, £800 maybe. But I mean, there's no real limit to that now. I mean, I don't know what a post would be with like a Kylie Jenner now or somebody like that, but I'm sure it'd be like millions. Be close to $1 million. Yeah.
I suppose it's hard because there's such the term influence is banded around so much that like I can barely influence a bowel movement in the morning, right? Not now. So like I don't see people, although I might have a captive audience, I don't see there's a great deal I can do that would influence in a real way a huge like uptake in sales of a product or service, right? So, but there'll be some value in asking me to promote something. But if you then on the other side of the scale, you got something like a Conor McGregor or some guy who's got millions of followers, I wouldn't know. I'm sure there's a method. Jimbo could tell us.
Jimbo, but pals, aren't you? Like long lost mates now.
Yeah. I find it really hard to figure out how, if I was a business owner, how I would calculate
a pitch
to a certain person. So who's somebody like in the middle of that? Like let's say somebody who's on Coronation Street, right? If I get David Platt, say, listen, mate, wear my new beard T-shirt or whatever. I wouldn't know the first thing about what to pay the dude. I wouldn't know what would be a fair offer and what wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Is there a way that you can kind of quantify that in your head?
So we've got our own system for that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You have to let me in on that later.
We've got our own system for that. But you're right, because ultimately you can't get that answer. A lot of businesses will speak to me and be like, how do you quantify that? And the answer is we've got our own system which we've developed over like 8 years of working with different influencers and talents to be able to.
Because you can be like, well, the influencer could be like, oh yeah, I get at least 5,000 story views, and I can convert 50% of them into swipe ups, and then 10% of that'll sell, and you'll go, well, we paid you X amount last time, we only sold 3 products, so you're a liar. I imagine it's a bartering
people
battle.
Ask me that all the time. With YouTube, that's the weirdest thing. If people, they don't really care about like the Instagram part or the Facebook or whatever, they'll be like, oh, I want you to mention this on a YouTube video. What's your demographic? I'm like, okay, I can give you a basic demographic, split ages and stuff. What's your average view? I'm like, I can't really give you an average view count really. And I certainly can't for a video which doesn't yet exist. It depends what I'm eating or where I am, Because there are videos on my channel that are 5 million views. There are videos on my channel that are 50,000 views. Yeah. Not many these days. But so like even I have an idea for what might be successful and better for a brand than maybe what wouldn't be. But that's one of the reasons I don't get involved with that, because I don't want to rip off a brand, right? I don't want to say, hey, I'll probably get 300,000 views on this. And then for whatever reason, I'm at the mercy of YouTube, right? I might do a terrible video, it gets 80,000 views, and then they're going to be wound up that, they've not reached many people. So I find that whole area still pretty murky. But if you've got a system, at least that's one thing. You can predict it somehow.
What's the current like podcast landscape now?
Hey, we don't know. That's the funny thing. Like we've obviously launched this, and we recorded a couple in hand. We had a successful launch, but we actually didn't know what success looked like. We still don't. But the launch of the podcast, in my opinion, has gone really well. We've had good feedback from everybody that's listened, those that have then gone and subscribed and watched and whatnot. But we really don't know. I mean, I think it's we're gonna have to. We'll find out at some point where we land with it all. But we've always joked on every podcast about getting a Spotify deal, and that's not like, this isn't like law of attraction thing where like if we say it, it'll come to life. I've joked about it, but I think maybe we could actually, like if we can be entertaining enough.
We might have been all right if we got our mate Paddy Pimblett on for an episode. He'd have got some views.
Yeah, we were that close to Paddy Pimblett before. We were DMing back and forth, and then that Barstool Sports signed him to a 7-figure contract.
Really?
Yeah, if anyone's listening,
he ghosted us.
Yeah, go give Paddy a little chat because he was supposed to do like a 20,000 calorie challenge with me, but he bailed out. So
was that the Joe Rogan thing that sort of stimulated a lot of that? Do you think?
I think Joe Rogan signing that deal is
That was huge, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's so funny because everyone's like $100 million a year is getting paid, right? But the stock of Spotify went up so far that it was the easiest investment for Spotify to ever make, and that's what people really don't consider. And even just because Rogan's done that, I know I listen to all my podcasts on Spotify now, which is amazing because before I used to do Apple Podcasts. But it just shows you the power of influence, and from a business deal, it's amazing. It's unbelievable.
Is there a lot of I know Joe Rogan's like the biggest one, but do you often see channels get bought?
I only know of 3. I know of Jack Mate.
Yeah, I did the Jack Mate podcast, right?
And then I know Cal Freesia, what's he called? The Fellas Podcast. Is that right, Mike?
Is that True Geordie guy?
No, not True Geordie.
He is another guy that...
Yeah, but True Geordie's been signed by Gymshark, so Gymshark sponsors that podcast. So I think it's like the Gymshark True Geordie podcast. So I think this could be, I'm not saying it's like 2012, like Facebook pages or whatever, but I think the podcasting scene is definitely growing. We're still in its infancy, but I think the space is kind of there for the taking if you've got a bit of a conversation and a bit of an audience. So
I don't know what success looks like on Spotify though. So to me, in my mind, I know roughly speaking what somebody needs to be doing in terms of views on YouTube to make a living. Depending on their frequency, I can calculate it. I have no idea when it comes to Spotify because you even paid. You have to get. There's no system whereby you're paid for the amount of views you get. You have to have some kind of sponsored deal, don't you? So I don't know how a company or how Spotify or whatever would assess a podcast and say that is successful enough that we would pay them to do it. I have no idea how many views you'd have to do. I mean, listens or whatever.
Maybe by the time this goes out, we could be signed by Spotify because we don't know when we're going to release this. But
I've already got a song on Spotify. Go listen to it now.
So HairBurst. So obviously you've started to scale up. You're starting to have growth. You're getting revenue in. You're doing all right. Were there any points in that journey where you had some proper fuck ups? Like, Black Friday's come in, we're trending like we want to be able to hit X amount of revenue, this will make us year, and then the website crashes, or what are some of the biggest problems you've seen in scaling a multi-million-pound business?
Oh my God. Yeah, where do I start with that? Well, I think like big mess ups, we can talk about a few, but it never really fazed me too much because I always go back and there's a story about when we had a big offer for selling the business in the past and we turned down, and it was because my overall goal was to make 40 grand a year. So it's like I always came back to that. So if anything wrong happened, everything else was a bonus.
Yeah, so you've already exceeded your expectations.
Yeah, massively. So
that's a good way to look at it. That's a really cool way.
Don't get me wrong, I got so stressed out, but I think it was less so because of that. So like a good example of things going wrong is, so we were like taking it back to the start. We were literally packing the products we had in the house, like in the bedroom. We had, I think the first order was like 800 SKUs. So like literally just stacked in the corner.
What's a SKU?
SKU, come on, son.
What's the actual stock keeping unit or something?
Oh, right.
A product. Even I knew that.
Sorry, it's like a e-commerce term, but it's just a unit.
Right, okay.
So they'd be in the corner. And then we'd have like jiffy bags, brown jiffy bags that you see anywhere, and then labels, and we'd write the labels ourselves. But we were literally getting orders from all over the world because Instagram's a global platform. So if you think back to the start, it was American. So probably 80%, well, I'm completely guessing here, but let's just assume that 90% of people on Instagram were from America, especially at the start. So we would do advertising through that platform. And we're getting orders from America. And we didn't know how to get anything to America. If someone ordered it in somewhere in the UK, you go to the post office and you send it on Royal Mail, so that was fine. But what do you do when it goes to America? And really, the post office didn't really know either. But we would go down with like bags of like 100, 200 products that we'd spent all night writing the labels for to go to America. But then it'd take 15 days to get there because we didn't know the best way to get it there. So we go to the post office, they'd suggest this route. It wasn't tracked. Right. So customer service was like a full-time job for me because people are getting an order you expect to get. Well, now you expect it in 24 hours.
That's funny actually because nothing like on that scale, but there was a short period when before I sold merchandise on Teespring.
I
used
did that.
I used to sell some. They were fucking terrible, just like the worst design. No fucker would wear them. But I don't know why I thought it would be a good idea. And I used to like take them down to the post office, right? And I used to fucking hate it whenever I got an order from like an international order because I'm like, right, that means there's no profit anyway because I'm not doing it for profit. I just get a buzz from people wearing my gear and then I've got to send it whatever. I remember actually the worst part of that there was like a postal strike in Canada, I think, and I had sent like maybe 4 or 5 t-shirts off to Canada and people being like, what the fuck's my t-shirt, man? And then I ended up, it was because of that there'd been some delay, right? So I ended up just refunding them. I didn't want to say, okay, it's not my fault, right? I had some kind of integrity about it. And I remember, just refunded them all. So it cost me more because I had to pay the postage.
It must have cost you more. Like if you didn't know exactly the cost of postage to Canada or to North America, like how would you know how much postage and packaging to put on, or was that an option on the website?
We put the price higher, but more of the problem, rather than the cost of it, was if someone orders your product and you can't get it to them and they've paid £40 for an order, it takes 15 days, working days to get there. So it's almost like a month they're waiting for this product to get there, and they don't get it. Like we refund them, and it's the cost of that, but the customer journey is just like not great, you know. And we had that the same there, but we also were getting orders from like Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and then on top of that, you've got the supplement and cosmetics industry, which is like extremely stringent on regs. Yeah. So not only because it not get there, but then like customs to stop it getting through, and like all these kind of headaches that we had during a period which was like explosive growth within the first 2 years. It was like super quick growth. So it's like almost like you're just constantly firefighting.
God, so I bet that's so stressful.
Yeah, I could never do something like that. I really couldn't because I wouldn't have been like if things were going wrong, I'm like a terrible problem solver. Yeah. Josh is all right at that, but like I just kind of crumble under the first. That's why I do stuff that's creative, you know, nothing at stake really.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that. Like even to the, I mean, we've been going for like 9 years now, so now we've obviously got it's a real business with a team of like 45 people in the head office, but the same sort of situations. But we get, because we built a great brand, right? So we're get an email from a retailer in Slovakia who want to put it in their 200 stores, but in the early days we didn't know how to, 1, get it there, 2, register it, 3, what the cost of getting it there would be. So yeah, there's a lot of just sort of like figuring it out as you go, I guess. Amongst the start.
That's a good thing though, for like if anyone's interested in having their own business and running it, it's kind of heartening to know that somebody who's really successful at it, who was essentially learned by doing, right? And there are all these things that I don't think anyone knows, do they, from the get-go, everything there is to know about.
No, absolutely not.
So if you can learn by doing, that's good, right? Get started now.
Are there any more examples of complete mess-ups that's happened, or any that stand out? Like
people have tried to, we had a few trademark issues in the past. So
I don't even know where to start with that. Imagine if I had to trade. Do we need to trademark this podcast? Do we need to like trademark that? I mean, you did it at the beginning. You were like, have you seen how many Breaking Bread podcasts there are on fucking Spotify? Like,
yeah, we'd be getting sued, man.
Yeah, we had at the very start, we toyed with the idea of calling the business, because it was a vitamin product. We were initially called
Vitamins for You. Vitamins for
That's what we should have done. Yeah, it was HairBurst. And then we moved it to HairBurst, which is like was one of the best things we ever did. But there's a company that was a similar name. So we started to make profit. I've quit work. It's like my full-time job. And then you get a letter through the door. It's like, I'm going to sue you for, I think it was like 150k for damages to the brand and blah, blah, blah. And I'm the lawyer now, because I ain't got a lawyer. So I'm the lawyer. It's like, yeah, sorry.
Is that like they call it a cease and desist order? Is that what that is?
Yeah. But I mean, that was fine. We got through that one.
You squashed that claim. You went, like Suits,
batted them back, and then also we had another business we tried to do in skincare, which is called Face Tox. So Botox, didn't like that. So that was like a expensive case as well.
Oh, what?
So trademarky stuff. I think some of the more difficult things for us came around just like general things of running a business that you wouldn't maybe expect in terms of like, so we started it with, now we're getting deep. We started with, there was 3 of us who started the business, and one of my business partners, he, after about 2 years of running the business, he got like really ill. And like we had to figure out how we were going to sort that basically, because he was, he got diagnosed with cancer at like a really young age, and we had to figure out how, so he obviously wanted to work, and we were working great together. He was like my best mate as well. So it's like, right, how do we figure out that process? Because there's, I mean, you've got the general business stuff, but then there's things like that happen in just like general life. And it's like, well, how do you navigate your business partner who's become really ill? And that went on for years and years. And we worked out fine because we figured out a way to essentially buy his shares in the business for him to not have the pressure of feeling like he needs to work when he was in that position. And now he's great and he's perfectly healthy and he's
that's
great too. Yeah.
So just to on a lighter note,
I didn't know which way that we're going to go then. I didn't want to ask.
But there's things like that happen that in any situation, and business is just one of them, where you've got your sole focus on running the business, but there's things that come from left field, and you have to.
That's what terrifies me. You know, we were talking about like I got this offer to do a celebrity boxing match. Believe it or not, I'm not even joking here. Right? Somebody asked me to like,
do it.
You know who we're going to fight? You see Hasbulla. The same weight class.
We would fight him. I'd be able to throw him out, him out the ring. No, but like somebody asked me to do it, and I thought this is actually I would never have done it because I'm a lover, not a fighter. But when Josh told me like he's worked with somebody who's done one of their events before.
They know him, Jake Quickenden.
Oh right,
yeah, Jake Quickenden did a celebrity.
Josh tells me like he knows somebody's getting paid 70 grand to do his fight, and I'm like, okay, hold up a second.
Can I just clarify? That wasn't the figure. That's just I don't know if he got 70 grand, but
it was a lot of money. Let's put it that way. But what went through my mind is I'm thinking I would never have done it. But had that, if I'd been, I was a bit tempted, and I thought, but if I do that, somebody breaks my jaw. Like my career's done, right? Anything could go wrong with what I do, right? So that's, obviously it can happen in any self-employed business, especially if you're like a sole trader, or if you've got just 1, 2, 3 people. If you're missing one person or the person, what do you do? There's no
curtains in it.
Exactly. So you're on welfare and stuff. It terrifies me, that. So yeah, I'm not going to be boxing or anything.
So let's progress through then. So, at what point did you realise that, all right, we've done all right here, the people knocking on the door, we can sell this thing? Like, when did the offers start coming in, and what sort of offers were you getting?
So we kind of went through a phase of, let's just say, so HairBurst was like an 8-9 year journey. So if we go to the first 3 or 4 years, we were in our young 20s. We're kind of like, I think a lot of people get in a situation where it's a business, but they often want to go, well, how do you go from doing a few million quid a year to like 10, 20 million turnover a year? And like, how do you progress from almost like a bedroom business? I know there's a lot of people who sell on like Amazon nowadays, and they all want to know, like, how do you go from running that type of business to then get into like a real sort of brand type thing? So we had to make that decision because we were a small cult type beauty brand. And it was like, how do we then grow into a real sort of like mass awareness brand? So progressing through the story, we kind of went through that startup phase. And I think we had a team of, our first office was very similar to this actually. We had,
it's funny, I've seen your first office because, believe it or not, this table, this table from one of your first offices.
Oh,
this is the table that I bought off his brother Jordan.
Piece of history right here.
I know, yeah.
A bit of HairBurst history. So it was, we kind of went through that motion of being a team of like 3 founders to then hiring our first few staff, and then being at like year 4, like, right, are we going to really push on and build this to what it is today? Thankfully, it all worked out, and it did become that. But we had to make that decision, so that was like a big phase. And then we built the team out to what it is today, and Is that your question?
So I guess at that point when you decided, right, are we going to take it and run with it? Were you getting offers at that point to buy? Like, was that a point where somebody would have come and bought the business from you?
Not then.
Right.
It was probably about 3 years ago.
Right.
Where we started to get that even entered my head, because I was, again, like we've now been there and done it, but it was all just learn as you go. So I didn't know what it was worth going back 3 years ago. And I've kind of always done this thing in my life where if I've got something that I want to be good at or learn about, I just read about it. And I've never read like a Harry Potter book or like been into reading. But I'm like, if it's something I want to do and I really want to do it, just read about it. So with poker, I read about that. I read like 10 poker books. When I got into business and e-commerce, I read 10 e-commerce books. So when it was like, right, 3 or 4 years ago, when it's like, oh, how do you sell equity in your business for a lot of money? It was like, well, private equity books, M&A books, just went all out and just read everything I could get my hands on.
What does M&A mean?
Sorry, mergers and acquisitions.
I love that though. There's so few people would do that though, you know. So many people look at it in all walks of life looking for what's easy, you know, like some kind of hack to get ahead. Being self-taught, whether it's reading or watching something. I mean, there's so much information on YouTube now that you could learn almost anything. I think Elon Musk said that, didn't he? Didn't he say like schools will be
redundant,
obsolete soon because of that? But that's such a cool thing to think. You know, I don't know how to do it. Let's learn and doing it.
Yeah.
It's when you're passionate about something as well. I guess it's like, I mean, to be self-taught in anything, like when we spoke earlier about like getting that 1,000 subscribers or followers to be able to generate an income off the back of having some form of influence. Like one of the best books that I ever read was Key Person of Influence by Daniel Priestley. It was like a marketeer from Australia, I think. And he's written a couple of books like Key Person of Influence, oversubscribed, and it's all marketing around sort of business and small businesses. But like they were integral, but it's then sort of continuing the personal development, but actually implementing. You can read all these books, but you need to actually start implementing what you're reading and seeing if it actually works. Because a lot of people just think it's like an overnight thing, and it definitely isn't, is it?
And like going back to your point, like so for me it was books. There's some, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit old fashioned, but just like the idea of reading like an actual hard copy book with a highlighter was like, that did it for me. But to your point, like there's so much information available. Like you can literally Google anything and you'll get an answer from a really good source. And it's like everything's there for you now. Like you don't, I mean, the whole education system is a whole different conversation. But if you think of like how, when we were at school, how you was almost like boxed into that certain topic. Like if you're interested in something, you always, as people get older, it's like, well, what are you interested in for that? Like you could do that in school, but you just have to be given the right information and focus on what you want to do. And it's everywhere now because you can do it on Google, YouTube, even like, I never really used Twitter that much, but I've started to do it recently because people just seem to be more...
Fuck Twitter.
Oh, what's happened?
You just can't get a blue tick yet.
I'm still not fucking verified, man. Come on, I've got a podcast and everything now.
Because it's more of a discussion there as opposed to some of the other platforms.
I agree. I think Twitter's a good... I've started enjoying it. I do mainly use Twitter for taking the piss out of Adam, but it's a valid point. What's your top 3 books? What are the top 3 books that you'd recommend for an entrepreneur?
All right, okay. Here we go. Top 3. I should have this ready, shouldn't I? Right, one's to my mind straight away, which is The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. And The 4-Hour Workweek's bollocks, for a start. That doesn't exist. And I think in the defense of other books, I think that was important for me because of my stage in life and I wanted to build a business. I wanted to do it through e-commerce and I wanted to live that sort of lifestyle. And he frames that idea in that book, which and there's part of that book that in our business today is still present. Like everything's quite lean. And he talks about that. I mean, the title doesn't really do it justice because you'd see that and go, oh, that's rubbish. But actually the content of it was super important. And the stage of my life I was in at the time was almost like elevated the fact that book was so good for me. So that one was important. Any others? I'm quite a big reader, so I've got a lot of books that come to mind. No, I've gone completely blank. What business books have you read? And I'll tell you.
E-Myth, The Entrepreneur Myth. Have you read that one? Really good. It talks about the sort of 3 the three people in a business, you've got the technician, you've got the manager, and you've got the entrepreneur. When you start out in business, you're all three of those things. You're the guy that's doing the job, you're the guy that's managing the job, you're the guy that's trying to find more work. As you scale your business, you need to find people that are technical, so the technicians that can go do the job. So for us, it'd be like, can we find another videographer or editor? Yes. Can we train them? Yes. Who then can manage them? Well, you're going to have to manage that person until you can get a manager in to manage them. And at that point, you're free to be the entrepreneur to sort of scale. So
I've got them now. They'll come to me. Shoe Dog.
I love that by
Shoe Dog.
Yeah,
it's about Nike, the founder of Nike.
So shoe.
it's called Shoe Dog.
Shoe as in shoe, dog as in the animal.
Yeah.
I thought there was something more to it. I don't know.
I don't actually
Shoe
know,
Dog.
yeah, that's good. I don't actually know why it was called Shoe Dog, but it was the founder of Nike in the story.
That's
which
so
is
relevant
just-
for you as well, isn't it?
That's great. And then Sam Walton's book, and this is a bit of left piece because people don't really know about this book, but it was written by Sam Walton, who founded Walmart. And the interesting thing about this book is he wrote it basically on his deathbed because he was, I can't remember what age it was, but he was towards the end of his life and he'd built Walmart, right? But not in any way similar to what we've done because it's anywhere near that. But it was very much what I've described in terms of like starting with $4,000, blah, blah, blah. That's that book because but then it became Walmart, which is like, I think his 4 kids are like the richest people, like in the top 10 richest people in America, his kids, just from how big Walmart is. So there's the scale of that. And then he's at the end of his life achieved all that to then write a book in like, I think it was, this is completely, I'm going to guess like 1970s or something. It was super well written and it was just really insightful. So that was a good one for me as well, because you can, these things don't happen overnight and everyone wants overnight success, but the time spent on a lot of these businesses, it's almost like a life's work.
It's even like, it's the same for you though. How many people, because I know you go, oh, it must be all right for him. He just gets to eat on camera for a living. I'm like,
Don't get me started, man.
fuck me. He's literally been doing this for 8 years, building, like grinding content out. Like you wouldn't believe how long it takes to make a video for fucking 8 years. And you think he's doing it for like a free Mackey's burger. And that's all I'm like,
Rather like McDonald's.
please.
You know what? What do you think of? I've never read it, right? But the one book that I always think of when people talk about business books is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Because my dad had it like, he had like a little cabinet at home in which my dad, he hated reading, right? But that was one book that I know that he's read. That's probably the Bible.
That was going to be the next one. You know, when you said which one would you suggest, that would have been How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Massive, yeah.
Because it always seems like
so the premise of that book is basically how you can sort of react in situations or how you should sort of be. So like if you got pulled over by a cop, you could go on the offensive and be a prick, or you could just apologize straight away and be like, I'm really sorry. I acknowledge that I was probably going 3 miles an hour over the limit. And that's like a dumbed down version, but it's like how to carry yourself, or like the best way to sort of talk and react with people for sort of
I've never read it.
Piece of life. Would you say that's a fair summary?
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of, I mean, for me, what I enjoy is reading about like business life stories. So like the Shoe Dog's one, that Sam Walton's one, and almost books that are written about someone in business who's been successful, and you can almost like craft your reasons why you think it's gone a certain way, but hearing it from the person himself, I think, great. It's almost like more of is that an autobiography or a biography? Autobiography. Of the story, and then all the information in there. So they're like some of my favourite ones to read.
Yeah.
On that topic, do you think, because to put this in my terms, do you ever think, if you look at somebody like Jeff Bezos, right?
Yeah.
So like, let's leave aside the whole tax evasion stuff. I don't want to get sued for libel or anything. And actually, Amazon distribute podcasts, right? So I might be shooting myself in the foot there.
Alleged tax evasion.
You know what I mean? Like there's a kind of like, people talk about the morality of Amazon in terms of, it monopolizing things and, them being based in Jersey and all that. Like, I'm not going to judge. I buy shit tons of stuff from Amazon because it's easy. But for you as like a businessman that owns a company which sells product, can you in any way rationalize how he's done that and think, maybe you can't replicate it, but you can kind of maybe see how it was done? Because I always think when Josh and I, when we're talking about YouTube, we often talk about Mr. Beast, and PewDiePie and those like kind of like mega YouTubers who 20 million views a video, and I can never think in my head how they got to that point. So is it any different in business? Can you foresee like, okay, if I had these resources, I could maybe do something like that?
Yes, is the short answer, and only because I mean, Amazon specifically, I've spent a lot of time reading about it. I've got 2 books at the moment I'm reading, which is purely just about Amazon. But Amazon was just a bookstore.
I remember when it was
just a bookstore, and we were just a company that sold hair products. Difference is books are a category of. In that category, it was just the perfect e-commerce store because you've got. What's the one limiting thing about a bookstore that you go to, a physical bookstore? They've only got so much space. So Amazon's got a massive warehouse, right? And there's the story about how they started. It showed 1 copy of every book, basically. And that was an amazing launchpad. And I mean, I can see how it's happened. I mean, Amazon today, no, because they've got like a cloud business, which I don't understand. They've got, they're doing like loads of tech stuff. Like Kindle was a great idea. They tried to do loads of other things that didn't work. But in terms of like, from an e-commerce perspective of like selling products, which we and you use, I could almost see how they just like branched. But in terms of like how they did it financially and how it happened is just like unbelievable. But I can kind of see that piece. I can't see the rest. And like now they're probably going to have drones flying and it's like, what the hell?
I think it's because they're so profitable. They can reinvest in these various things, and if it flops, it doesn't matter because it's like so. Yeah. It's a bit like Netflix. That's why like Netflix it's the blockbuster. Netflix are now trying to take out cinemas because they just say, well, we'll fund this feature, and they've got so many features ongoing that all they need is one Squid Game to come along, and it's like if the rest of them flop, it doesn't matter. You know, like Amazon have tried to do phones, they've tried to do anything, and they're not asked if it flops because they've got Amazon Prime. You know, like it's well. You know, it's well kept at the.
I mean, it's endless. Amazon Prime as well. It's probably £100 billion company just on its own. You know, and hopefully your podcast gets in there one day.
Hi, Jeff.
Finally, the selling then of the company. So, can you tell us some of the offers that you've had, or can you tell us about that process? Like, what does that look like for you, and what sort of position does it put you in?
So I'm only. I spoke to somebody yesterday about this because I just needed to double check because I'm now I'm a director of a subsidiary of a public company. So there's things I can and can't say. So I'm basically allowed to talk about anything that happened before the deal.
Okay.
And that was about a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll add a bit of context. So we did a deal with JD Sports. We sold of the company to JD. And now we're going to use... The idea was basically that we can use HairBurst infrastructure in beauty, which is like the stores, the influence, the distribution, like all that kind of stuff with the scale of JD, because obviously it's like 11.5 billion market cap. It's like huge. And like, I just admire that company so much because you think of what JD Sports was.
Yeah, it was like the least cool of all the sports shops. I might be getting you some hot water there, but like I used to think, fucking JD Sports.
Yeah, but this is what makes it great because the guy who's been running that now, he's been the CEO for 22 years. For me, growing up, JD Sports was like, there was like JD, JJB and Sports Direct. It
was Sports World, wasn't it, I think?
And it was like
Foot Locker if you wanted to queue and laugh at their uniforms.
Yeah. And now it is what it is. And now it's all been through what we can now do, which is like M&A, to that term again, but like mergers and acquisitions of other brands. So what they've done is they've very cleverly like bought other stores around the world and built this like huge group. So I'm like, well, we can do that. So now I'm in conversations with like smaller brands, and we can look at how we can bring those within the group, and we can scale them through the HairBurst system, but also through the JD system. And that's what I'm spending my time on at the moment.
So that must be the most exciting part then, I guess, being an investor or looking at opportunities. Because as an entrepreneur, if you can spot a brand and spot an opportunity and go, right, we can pull that into the HairBurst JD ecosystem and scale it, that must be...
Yeah, it's been an investor, but I've been an investor for a few years now, so I've done quite a few angel investments into different ideas. But I never set out to sell shares in the business. Like I said before, when we started, I wanted to make £40,000 a year so I could go to Thailand and enjoy that. And it gets, when the business grows, it gets to big numbers and you realise, okay, that actually sets me up for life, or that does this, or that does that. But it was never about the money in terms of an amount. Or I speak to some people now, I've had it twice this last few weeks where they go, I'm going to start this new business, I want to sell it for 100 million. Like I never had that vision. It was always, a lifestyle business which became what it is today.
Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing then? Would you advise people to have an exit plan in place when they start, or not particularly none, but maybe an exit plan, or would you say do it like you have like purely like just through passion and graft to get to the point where it's actually a sellable asset?
I actually think it's probably good to have that target in mind. I think it's good to have that target in mind, but just don't lose sight of if it gets to any size, like what a great achievement that is, because so many people set out in business, and if you can get a business to, I think there's some crazy stat of like, I think it's something, what was it, within 3 years, like 95% of businesses fail, something like that. So if you can, do you know what I mean? You're already in the 1% if you can get it to get past that stage. So the fact that we did the deal with JD was more of a case of it's the right thing for me, because I can now not just do HairBurst, but do loads of other new projects. And it's a great opportunity for the HairBurst as a company to grow. But we had offers in the past for a lot of money.
Can you say? Can you?
Well, we had an offer last year which valued the company at 50 million.
So you turned. There were 50 million.
All right. Well, quickly. First things first. Give us a bit of money, lad. You know, sponsor the podcast. We'll get the artwork redone.
Can we bleep out every time we said Spotify and replace it with Jimmy Hill?
That is wild.
50 million quid.
Yeah, but
That's incomprehensible.
Incomprehensible.
What he said.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. The company was valued at 50, but if we did that deal, wouldn't have meant that I wouldn't get 50 million and just like disappear.
Yeah.
So it's like it's the company value, and then we'd have sold a set percent of shares, and then we would have had various different things that we would.
Can you imagine that, starting with £4,000 and a couple of mates and a jiffy bag?
I was just about to say, what I bet the coolest part about that, really, rather than the material value, the wealth value of being offered that amount of money, it must feel very validating to somebody who's worked from the ground up to create a brand which somebody then thinks is worth that amount of money. You know what I mean? That must just feel kind of good in that. I don't think anyone ever sits back and thinks, yeah, I'm a big shot now.
Like, obviously, you've been in it, you've drafted it, you've done it, but like from the outside looking in, like this will be so valuable and inspiring to other aspiring business owners, small business owners, D2C brand building people. Like this is gold for them.
Yeah, I wish somebody would offer me money for my. I'll vacate the channel if somebody wants to buy it. You know, it wouldn't take that much. Maybe like 50 grand.
50
Not a
G's.
bit more than that.
Yeah, but we turned it down because it didn't fit what I wanted to do. You know, so it doesn't. I keep saying it, but it goes back to like the original plan. Like if anything was to step on what I wanted to do, which was run the business how I want to run it, like maintain control of like the operations of the business and continue to like exercise the vision of it, then great. But I didn't feel, and we had loads of different offers, but it never fit that until I met the guys at JD and I was like, yeah, this is definitely the one. Definitely the one. So
what does the future for you look like then? Are you looking at sort of building personal brand, going Dragon's Den route? Obviously, you said you do a bit of angel investing. You know Stephen Bartlett, right? From Social Chain. He's a pal of yours.
Yeah, he's Dragon now.
He is the Dragon.
He's the Dragon.
What I want to know is, have you met his copywriter? Because he has got more inspirational quotes than anyone I've ever seen online. So maybe it's him writing them out, but I don't believe it.
You think he's got a ghostwriter? I told you, man, before he'll be nicking them from ancient Greek philosophers and stuff. People do that all the time now. They'll put like a nice little distressed urban filter on their image, and they'll say it was, knowledge speaks, wisdom listens. Jimi Hendrix when it was fucking whoever knows Aristotle or something back in the day. That winds me up, man.
Have you seen his podcast?
The Diary of a CEO. I've seen it. I've not listened to it, but it's super successful. I'm pretty sure it's like ranking super high.
Really good.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you can't knock what he's done. I saw his business partner, Don McGregor, he gave a speech at NatWest Entrepreneur of the Year Awards. He was like one of the keynote speakers, and what they've done is amazing. So that's one of those where you look at that company and go, "That's inspiring."
Yeah, super successful. It's back to your question, like what I'm going to do. So I'm going to be full on the JD HairBurst plan. And then I also do like angel investments into something that's not related to, and I also do investments into various different things, and like even just into businesses that don't fit within the HairBurst area. And even just, I spend a lot of time looking at all the crypto stuff now. I know it's like a hot topic, but
Before we got into crypto, I was going to say, like, if you ever kind of branch out into the male follicle treatment sphere, I'm pretty much, I would say I'm a leading figure when it comes to sporting beards, you know. So if you could formulate something which makes beards grow bigger, longer, more luscious, I mean, it'll cost you a few bob, but I'm up for it, you know. You can get me on board.
I think it's game for that.
I'll bear that in mind, yeah.
The crypto space then, you obviously just mentioned it. It's a bit of a dark art. It's not something, I remember people
Are you doing any? Have you done any?
I'm doing it, I'm doing a little bit.
Josh keeps, he'll tweet that he's made some like wild profit 2 days after he's made the investment, and then me and Mike don't get to find out. He doesn't give us he gets his tips from somewhere. And
I've told you,
I made bags of cash on this because I probably would like tinker with it, but I just don't
We've
understand
established that I'm not intelligent enough. I don't understand blockchain technology or what an NFT is. But what I've got is a friend called Mike Winnett and Ian Darlington, who are the boys over in Warrington, who very much do understand it, and their crew. And Ian, he'll go, we spoke about this. Phantom's looking pretty good, so we're all going to buy in and just see what it does. So like Phantom as an example, I have no idea what that coin's attached to. I don't understand what it all means, but he basically said, we're going to buy Phantom.
You should buy Phantom, and you did not pass that information. Because you didn't tell me and Mike that.
It needs to be disposable. It's a gamble, and it's like it needs to be disposable income, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So like I've put a couple $100 in it, but then it like went, whew. So it went to a few grand. So I'm like, cheers, boys. You know. But I hate, imagine if I did that to poor Mike. Mike, buy Phantom, right? He's getting married next year.
Well, you're not telling him.
And if for us,
get married, Mike?
Yeah, he tells us like 2 weeks later when that ship has completely sailed.
Yeah. You find out later. But no, I've not done any. I used to invest a little because I used to work for a stockbroker. A lot of people know that about me. But I used to like dabble a little bit in the riskier stuff, like the AIM market stuff, where it's a bit more exciting because they're not huge companies, right?
Yeah.
But I understand that because I can't predict what it's going to do, but there's an underlying asset which I understand, right? So if it's oil or whatever, if they're successful in mining oil or drilling for oil, I know that price is going to go up. If they don't, it's going to go down. With the crypto, I'm just like, no idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's endless now. But the way I've tried to describe it is, if you think about, I mean, I'm talking about HairBurst again, but going back to like the start where the idea of a marketing or process of marketing got completely disrupted because social media came around. It's all happening on a much bigger scale within the crypto space. So like, go back to like the banking stuff. Like if you put money in your bank now, you'll get what, 0.01% interest or something.
Yeah, fuck all.
But you could put your money into Bitcoin or Ethereum or a different coin, and then you can put it into a USDC coin, which is pegged against the dollar. So rather than like the fluctuating price, $1 is one USDC. You put your USDC into a crypto wallet, and you get like 15% annual return on that compared to 0.01. It's like that. I mean, that's like one thing which I'd recommend people do anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, but
that for starters. So if anybody's got any savings and it could be put into a crypto wallet,
because that's safer, yeah.
Which is 15% interest a year.
Yeah, but that always goes up and down based on the different wallets. But it's almost like it's not as obvious because it's all in the crypto space, but the whole like financial system's completely changed and continuing to change. And I don't know where it all ends, but it's interesting.
It's like this Shiba Inu or
it's just like a shit coin. Yeah,
yes, but like it's like the Dogecoin thing, innit? Or Dogecoin. It somehow took off, but some dude owns all of the Shiba, and if you actually sold it, it'd crash it all.
Yeah,
but it's worth like $5 billion.
It's mad.
Dollars.
It's mad. Yeah.
Have you got any tips? Like, what coins do you invest in? Have you got any tips? Any hot tips?
Yeah. So I'm lucky because I've got some great friends who are like fully.
Can we set up a WhatsApp group?
Fully integrated into a lot of the crypto stuff, which I was just super lucky that I met a friend in Dubai, and he does some work with some guys who were in the crypto space, and they had friends, and I kind of just met these guys, and then we got on great, and it's like they just send me tips now. So it's like
sounds like the underworld.
Yeah, well, it literally is. So like the money that's been made in the whole crypto space as a whole is like absolutely insane. But I mean, hot tips, like I'm always quite risk averse. So for me, I hate saying stuff like this because then people might do it and then lose loads of money.
No.
We'll put a disclaimer. This is not financial advice.
There's going to be nobody who's like a prospective investor listening to this podcast. I can assure you of that. But if you are, then I mean, these aren't cast iron tips, right? Don't put your money in under the bed or something. I don't know.
So I do. So my current crypto portfolio is quite lean. So it's easy to explain. It's literally about 70% of it's in Ethereum, 20% in Bitcoin, and they have like 5 to 10% in Solana and Luna. So they're like, it's all like big stuff. Like they're both in the top. If you go onto CoinMarketCap, they'll be in the top 20. Whereas like, but it's not like, I think what people want is put a fiver in, get 100 grand.
Yeah,
and it's like,
of course it is. Yeah.
I mean, those ones I've explained are fairly stable compared to the world. But if you compare that to what you used to do, it's still like as risky as hell.
Yeah, that's the thing is you could always like, I remember being at work, like if I'd invest in something, I remember investing in this company called Central Rand Gold, right? Back in the day. Because the price was, I knew nothing about them, but I know that they're mining for gold, right? The clue is in the name. So if they don't find gold, or there's an RNS feed comes out, they say, we're not really sure, price is going to start to drop, but I can probably get out before I lose bags of cash. Bitcoin, that could be going on in the background. Like one day I've got, $1,000, the next day I've got £1. Like I genuinely, I'm sure there's a way to understand it. There must be, right? You've tried to explain it to me before. But that just seems, I think small stock is risky. If you've ever seen Wolf of Wall Street, like pink sheets and stuff, that was what was called risky back in the day. But there was some tangible thing you could link it back to.
Yeah.
And with Bitcoin and all that crypto stuff, I'm like,
yeah. I mean, just in Bitcoin. So if you try to explain it, it's almost like it's just money, but then money's only valuable if you believe it's valuable. So that's the idea behind Bitcoin, basically. But now you can put it into wallets and you can do this and you can do that. So it becomes more of something behind it, I guess.
Yeah.
I understand the explanation behind the transfer of funds.
Yeah.
So like they say that like Bitcoin, because of the mining of it costs a lot, because in energy it costs a lot to be able to mine these coins, which is mining is basically the transfer of funds to another individual.
Yeah.
But then it's a lesser cost than the banks and they're not taking a lot of money. So that's why everyone's going like full rogue against the banks into the crypto space. So I kind of understand that. That's why that's the only reason I sort of pick a few coins. But as far as like exposing myself to how much I've got in the actual crypto space, it's like a small percentage of the money that I actually have or would I dare invest.
Yeah.
It's
I would only ever put 10% of my money.
Yeah.
And that's probably quite risk on.
Yeah.
I would say. Like 90% of my money would be more stable things like stocks, property, whatever. But yeah, that's probably going to increase though, because just in terms of like how inflation's changing and stuff like that over time, I do have a bit of a worry about what's going on.
Yeah.
But crypto's almost like a hedge against the world. It's like governments are doing this, whatever's going on, but crypto's its own entity. So,
I just any of the money I have is in like a bank. So, yeah, I just like having the money there, I think.
All right, so last couple of questions before we move on to the next segment, which I'm super excited about. I think we've established you've probably got a couple of quid, right? So for the regular viewers, do you still shop at places like Tesco's, or have we moved up to like Marks and Spencer's?
Do you know what? I never actually cook ever.
He's a personal shopper. Something goes out.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'll answer. Yeah, but I'm just so lazy. Like I'm just like Deliveroo, 24/7.
Do you live in the city?
Yeah.
Oh, right. So you live in the New York lifestyle, isn't it?
It's like George's watching. It's like all the time, isn't it? Or I'll eat out as well, which is a nice luxury to have, I guess.
Do you find that?
But I've been doing that for years. Like it's quite bad, but yeah.
That's pretty much your life, isn't it? You eat out. All the meals that you have.
I imagine Jim Over is probably in some higher end restaurants than I am.
Mackies.
when you are at Tesco's, then not doing your big shop, but just perusing for a bit of food, are you still checking the price tag, going, that crunchy's on sale, or this 2 for 1, I'm having that? When really you wanted like a Yorkie bar, where are we at?
I can remember when I did do that.
So the answer's no.
I can remember when I did do that. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, I probably don't know.
Oh well.
Yeah, maybe that's a
I've not even
luxury
had that, man.
I've taken for granted.
I don't go to the bargain shelf, where everything's about to go out of date and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to get this.
Whoopsie,
Yeah,
dropped
I
that.
don't
It's
do
cheaper
that.
now. To the beans.
I don't have an expensive taste though, at all. For me, fish and chips, loads of chips, loads of vinegar, loads of salt. That'll do me.
So has anything changed from $4,000 in the bank, living in Scunthorpe, to being now doing all right?
A multi-millionaire.
It happens over time, but then it's not my. I think we mentioned this before, but it's like. So I had a stay at Ibiza from when I was age 17 to 26, I think.
What are you driving now? What kind of flash stuff are you driving these days?
Now. So yeah, I mean, I kind of went through that stage. Now I just have a Range Rover. But Josh knows I had a few silly cars over the years.
Only from what you've told me, again, it's not something that's like publicly available. I've not seen any pictures of cars or whatnot. But
I bet you didn't have one as silly as me. My first car was called a Daihatsu Copen. You might have to actually Google that, Mike. But it's like, you remember the show Noddy? Remember Noddy, the TV show?
Yeah.
It looked like Noddy's car. Fucking loved it though. It was like this little tiny 2-seater, 1-litre convertible, right? Something like a hairdresser would drive with red leather seats. It was ridiculous. I don't know why I bought it, but I thought it was cool at the time.
mate, you almost had that like a year ago. You were driving that horrible little X5 about for.
Yeah, well, I'm like I said, I got my feet on the ground. I don't. I mean, the cars don't really excite me.
Nah,
The only
yeah.
reason I got a Tesla is because it's I use it for business purposes, so it's tax deductible.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And it's environmentally friendly.
That too, yeah, totally.
Do you? So obviously we've joked a lot about like you've done well for yourself, but with all that will come possibly. I don't know. Do you get people that you grew up with, or people that like extended friends, not your immediate circle, or even your immediate circle, like trying to dip in for like, oh, can I have a bit of money, or can you invest in this, or can you do that? Like boilers burst.
No.
Do you know any of that?
Like, no. But I've got my group of friends, the same group of friends I've had since I was 15, 16. So super tight knit. They know I'm here if they want anything. They never ask, but I'll often offer. And actually, to answer your question, thinking about that and thinking about like family and like how I can help out like my parents and how I can help out my brothers or my friends, that's the best thing by a mile.
Yeah, the being
By an
able to
absolute
give.
mile. Yeah, but then, yeah, just being able to help.
Yeah, I'd love that one day. Like that, as far as like obviously I want to provide for my family, which is weird to say, now that I have my own little family. But like I look at my parents and my siblings, and I like if one day, I could ever be in a financial position to ever help pay a bit of the mortgage off, or maybe put my mum and dad into a nice little cottage in New Milladam, or
I thought you were going to say home then, like get rid of them, put them in
into
just
a
like
nice
an old
home.
folks
So
home.
like that's like proper. Like for me, that's like the fire that to do it for. Like we've spoke about it off air. Like I feel like I'm in. I take a salary from the business, which is not extreme, but it sustains an average lifestyle, and I'm happy. Like I want for nothing now, and I think that's it. I think it's the material stuff that actually don't really make you happy, does it? I think you've been able to do that for other people is the goal.
I think everyone always says that like I think it's 80k. I think everyone always says like 80 grand a year is like after that there's not much more benefit.
Right.
That's like a thing. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
I've never heard that thing. No,
People have said it to me in the past, but it's like it's a lot of money, right?
Yeah, of
It's a lot
course,
of money,
yeah.
but it's like that's almost after that. There's no exponential extra happiness or whatever,
Right.
To or attachment to money in that sense.
just like you could get extra stuff, but the stuff that doesn't make you happy.
Yeah,
That
in
makes sense.
terms of, and it's like with that. I mean, it's probably going to change because of inflation and everything else. But it's like a few years ago, I heard that, and I kind of like, yeah, I can kind of understand why people say that.
Yeah, because it'd be like what's 80 grand a year? That's probably like £6,000 net a month, maybe roughly.
Yeah, and for me, I've always been quite safe for money. So, I had, I'm trying to think, before we did the deal, I had a few million quid saved in various different index funds, which paid me. I mean, if you put £1 million in a traditional index fund, you get like 7%. So that's like 70 grand. So it's like,
That's actually my plan. If I ever hit 1 million, I mean, I could do it before I hit 1 million, but like if I ever hit 1 million, if I had like, if I
For
get
£1 million.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd put it in an index fund or term deposit, something which with super high interest, and
just 7%. And like,
you can live on that, couldn't
so if
you?
you had 3 million quid, that's like, do you know what I mean? 210.
210, yeah.
And it's like, but honestly, my lifestyle probably cost me, I'm trying to think, like, to put it into context, like like especially before coronavirus, I just basically, because we've got businesses in like Vietnam, Thailand, we have something in Hong Kong as well, Middle East. So I've always traveled quite a lot with work. So I literally traveled the world, kind of like done what I wanted it to some extent, but it doesn't cost me more than 100 grand a year.
Do you go first class? No, business class though.
Sometimes.
I just recently went business class to Canada, first time ever. I loved it. But there's a woman in front of me on that. We talked about this before, complaining about the champagne. You get free champagne. I'm thinking, pick your battles, man. You complain about the champagne, you're in business class. It didn't even cost that much. It was like a 1,200 quid return or something.
Yeah.
I think it's just because like nobody was traveling there.
Have you seen? I think I already know the question to this, but do you get more do you get fussier the richer you get? So like that, for example, or have you seen people where the money has changed them in the sense that they might have just been like your average bloke with salt and vinegar on the fish and chips, and now they're just being a dickhead with caviar, and caviar's gone off a bit, so they're just being a prick to someone. Have you seen that?
I'm not sure. I think everyone always says that money doesn't change people, it exposes people. Have you ever heard that one?
I like
Ooh,
that.
you see the little like raise the eyebrows there? Yeah, I've heard that one before actually.
I don't know if that's true or not. I'm surrounded by quite a lot of good people, so I don't think.
So that's a good bit of advice for people, isn't it? Like, what is it? Your what's the term? There's a quote in there about your circle is like your wealth. What's the come on? Something like that. Yeah. You're the product of the 5 people you spend the most time
I like that one. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. So
got
Got a little philosopher in the corner here.
for those that listed, that's
Josh, is it your network determines your net worth?
Yeah, but that's proper douchey. That's what you'd see. That were literally on the black and white picture. Mahatma Gandhi.
I'd hope that if you spoke to my closest friends, they'd say I'm the same as I've always been.
I think from the time that we've spent with you, we could probably vouch that is probably the person that you are for sure.
What do you reckon, Jord?
There was a little bit of hesitation there.
That's his brother at corner going, he needs to give me that £1 million. Right, so let's move this thing on. Like, I'm so excited for this section. So, given that you are the most successful in, no doubt, fucking Morley at least, we want to pitch to you, Dragon's Den style, for some products or services that we've come up with. Right. And I honestly think, like, I'm going to retire on, like, give me sort of 10 minutes, I'm going to be retired because I've got the perfect product with the perfect pitch.
I'm just going to say in advance of this, I gave this about as much thought as I did to my favourite meal deal on the Jack's Happy Hour thing. So mine's going to be terrible. I haven't really thought about it, but Josh has been spending days thinking about this.
Well, that being said, I think you should go first.
So I'm going to go first.
I think you should go first.
Right, well, the first thing I thought of when you told me about this was, I don't know why, this is where my head was at. I was trying to think of unique things. My first thought was like selling chocolate casts of sexual organs. Don't ask me why, but I thought like, does that exist? Because it's like
like chocolate bumholes.
So like, you could make a scale model of mine with like a fun-sized dairy milk if you melted that down, I'm thinking like a Valentine's Day gift. Think about it, you get like a cast of your partner's. This isn't the pitch because this was the first thing I thought of.
Oh, so this isn't the product.
No, like your chocolate knob. Because like you get quirky stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So is that what you picture?
Well, I don't know because actually I'm going to pitch that because the second idea is not that good. Well, I think that's more unique. What do you reckon? I think there's any legs in that?
How much you need?
How much? I'd need apparatus, wouldn't I, to actually make the chocolate molds?
And you're gonna have to get some penises. So you're gonna need to be able to find modelled penises to be able to take molds from.
Well, I thought I could sell some kind of kit whereby you can take a cast of your partner's own bit, I
like it.
And then
it's
it's personalised, right? So you're not just getting a chocolate dick. I mean, they probably sell those anyway, right? Yeah, sure, but you could get like your own personal.
Do you see your mum watches this?
So like, so I need some apparatus. I reckon. I don't know how to price that. I'll give you an 80% stake in the business for like 200 grand.
Done.
That was the best. Like pretty much the best I could. The only other idea I had was I do this other podcast, right? I'm going to mention it this time. Called it's really shit, right? I do it a bit of a laugh.
You're fucking selling it. Paul Jordan.
But it's just me and a mate of mine called The Film Fella. We talk about food scenes in films, right? Because food's my thing. And I keep thinking over we talk about films with food scenes in them. And I keep thinking, what would be really cool if you could make dishes from, or you know, when you get like fictional fast food places and films, like in Pulp Fiction, they have Big Kahuna Burger. Like if you could somehow buy the rights to that and like make that in real life. Okay. That was my second thought. But I think that's a copyright minefield, right? Tarantino probably wouldn't sell them to me.
It's interesting. Then you're on the Beards Meet Food and all that with the YouTubers. Yeah. See where you're going with that. Yeah.
I think I could be like, look, I've opened this place and whatnot. But yeah, no, I think the stronger idea is chocolate knobs.
Could you open a place?
I could, but people keep asking me to actually. I keep saying to Linz, I'm like, when I retire, I'll open a little bistro, you know, like it's not, the opening hours aren't very long, nice, maybe the size of this, exclusive, but I wouldn't want to run a restaurant, you know. I don't have that hard work and grit and determination like you two boys. I just want, maybe I'd sit there, you know, like, you know, in Rocky, when he has that restaurant, but he just turns up there, he doesn't run it. Yeah. Like maybe I'd do that.
Yeah, franchise it out.
But anyway, yeah, chocolate knobs is my best idea.
So what are you saying then? Have you got any more questions about the financials, the deliverable of the product? Like, are you in or you're out?
Hope you don't, because I didn't think it. If you have no follow-up questions, please, that's the idea. In or out.
Let's franchise the restaurant.
Oh, that's the better idea.
Stick your name on it.
Okay.
And that might be a goer.
Ooh, you know what? I felt like a warm kind of wave of confidence wash over me then. I had like a successful businessman telling me that I could make some of myself, just not with chocolate knobs. Anyway, go on. It's time for your thing that you've been specially preparing for hours.
That's it, mate. You've made it, so you're in. You've got an investment. I hope I get an investment.
It was a pity investment.
Right,
okay.
so I've actually... I took a little bit of time this morning.
He's whipping out his iPad.
Mate, I'm retiring today. I don't know about you. Like, I've had enough of this podcasting stuff for you. It's going nowhere. Right, so what I've got is... Let me just bring out my...
Come on then. Full presentation and everything.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, I just need to get a bit closer. Right, so what I'd like to introduce to you... This was inspired by my good little friend, Mr. Beard Meets Food, right? Yeah. And what... We might have some copyright infringement, but we'll worry about that afterwards. What I'd like to introduce to you is only stands. We all need an extra couple of inches, which is funny because we both don't know what we're talking about. But you went to chocolate knobs and I've gone this way.
The funniest part about this is you've actually got like custom artwork designed for it.
I dabble in Photoshop. So... Again, there could be problems with copyright infringement, but don't let that bother you just now because
I did tell you I got sued earlier, didn't I?
You've been sued, so we're good. So, right, what I'm asking for? I'm asking for £2 million for 25% equity in my company. Right? Did you know that 55% of men all over the world have facial hair, and the average height of the UK male is 5'9"? Now, so if there's 33 million men in the UK, that means that 18 million, the 55%, have all got shit beards and they're small. So it's like you, right? So what you'll also find is if you've got shit beards and you're small, as you've seen from a lot of the material that's gone out online from when we launched this podcast, this is actually like, this is the original image of Adam when we took the photos to launch this podcast. And as you can see, he's really small, right? So we had to Photoshop him to make him look bigger. Right?
Did you put me at that height for a reason? Why am I right next to your crotch? About crotch height.
But so what we have got, only stands is a product, right? Where it can make your little bearded friends bigger. So this is where we're at. So what I'm saying is, if we can sell this at a modest, and I think it's modest, if we retail this at a modest £99, right? Yeah. If that gives us and we'll say we've got an expected 25% net profit. If we sell 18 million units just to the males in the UK, so this is just the UK market, right? That'll cut us a £450 million profit at the end of the year. So that again being £450 million. If we take an EBITDA multiple of let's say 4 or 5, that means that this time next year it could be worth £2 billion. So
is it? Look, I know I'm not supposed to interrupt your pitch, but is it just a box?
No, don't shut the fuck up. So, do you want me to send you my bank details now, or have you got any questions?
How are you going to acquire customers?
Well, I've got this influencer friend that's also little bearded.
Target market.
I'm going to poo-poo all over it because you know what I saw the other day? Probably a personalised Facebook ad, right? Because as you keep telling people I'm short, even though I'm 5'10". Just got a bit of a hunch.
That's above average. I've done stats.
I saw an advertisement for legitimately these things that you put in shoes to make you taller. Like who the fuck would buy it? Like who needs to be taller?
I know a guy. I met a guy. I know a guy.
And he wears them.
Yeah. I know a guy.
Like, what is it about height, man? It's not like...
Anyway, stop saying there's other products out there. Jimmy, so could you just give me your thoughts on only stands, please?
It's impractical. I mean, it's just a box that you're covering. You're just carrying a stand around like a little box.
That's the original photo.
I'm a bit worried about the shipping cost. How are you getting it? How are you shipping it about? Looks like a heavy bit of kit, that.
It's funny that because it's obviously I told you how much of a massive profit margin we've got. It's actually flat pack, so you build it when it comes to you.
Just like an IKEA jobby.
A little bit, yeah.
But you have to disassemble it whenever you want to walk somewhere. I didn't think it was possible. You gave me this. You hyped this up massively. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's going to be a good idea compared to yours. And like it's still worse than chocolate knobs.
Why are you ruining it? He already said if it's in or it's out yet.
I'm being serious now. Like if Jimmy left this room and he actually had to like gun to his head invest in one of those ideas, his money's going into chocolate knobs. And there's no I have no two ways about that. I'm telling you.
He's not wrong.
What?
That's the second challenge I've won. We did that other one. Fuck.
So is that it? So I haven't got my £2 million.
Not on that one. We'll have to have another go.
Back to the drawing board.
I'm devastated. I said to my little daughter as I was leaving today, I said, Daddy's going to make it today.
You had the prototype of a good idea. I think if you'd made it more portable,
We can refine it. I mean, like with your brains,
it's
man. Like
it's just a box. You had the prototype there. You just
you
didn't
know,
see
it's
it through.
only stands. We all need a couple of extra inches.
No, I like the slogan, but a slogan doesn't make a business, does it?
I
Come on now.
think I've come unstuck because I've put you on the box. I mean, on the
yeah.
stand, on the only stand.
Well, I should be charging you about $4,000 for that, mate. Come on.
So that's it. You're out.
I'm out.
Fuck.
Never mind.
Well, anyway, on to the next section of the show, the final section. What we like to do is when we've got a guest on, we like to offer them the opportunity to take on a challenge out of Beard's mystery box. Did we decide that with a name?
We have a box with some assorted treats in there, which you can partake of if you're hard enough.
I'll do both.
You'll do both. Oh, man of the people.
Yeah.
Man of the I love this. You can come back. Right, anyway, go get your box, son.
That's top class falsetto. This is the box of doom. So there you
How
go,
old's this
Jimbo.
box?
It's made to look
3,000.
old. It's probably about 3 weeks old.
That's the original only stands right there.
Just go in.
Just go straight in there and pick. I'll let you choose. You don't have much in the way of choice. Just lots of brutal stuff.
Right, well, I'm going to go for the chocolate, I reckon.
Oh, okay. So with the chocolate, it is actually should we show it to camera?
Yeah. We can throw some B-roll afterwards. But what is the?
So the chocolate is known as
Willie Pete's.
It's Willie Pete's. Yeah, Willie Pete's Chili Cherry Nightmare. And it's a bar that they sell. I forget the name of the website. I'm not giving them free promo anyway. But the idea is it's a half-pound chocolate bar. The challenge is supposed to be that you eat the full bar, right? But these, I mean, if you can see the spice meter there.
It says danger.
I've actually tried this. It's pretty brutally strong. So we're not going to ask James to eat the full thing. I told him before it wasn't that bad, but it's pretty bad. But just like a square, and we're going to say what just see how long it can last with that little bit of milk.
Yes, I think take a bite of obviously take one square, eat it, chew it, and then the afterburn is what will put you on the leaderboard.
Yeah,
because obviously we can use the rest of the bar for future guests, but there's pride at stake here. Do you know what I mean? Like
Chunky old.
It's definitely true. I think it's got a little bit of filling in there actually, like a little bit of something gooey. So are you allergic to anything?
Nah.
Oh, thank God. It's been in the fridge.
Bits. Yeah.
It's been smashed up. Look at it.
Oh wow! You need to find one square off that thing.
Jesus, the big squares.
Yeah, they are quite large.
All right.
Whoa. Let's just get a shot of that. I thought you were going dairy milk size.
You know what?
Square.
I didn't realise it was that big. Do you want to half it? I don't really want to like smash that. I might fucking kill the guy.
Just bite half off.
Have a knock on.
Yeah, you can have I say let's go half.
Why don't we just? Have we got like a knife or something? We could just. You got your little fucking Swiss Army bullshit, haven't you?
I don't have that bit.
Look,
Is that enough?
You're pulling at it. Like, poor guy's got game.
Yeah, just pick out like a small piece.
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah.
right. So you're gonna have a piece. I say that's a half a piece. Well, that's the fair call.
No, that's like a triangular section.
So, what do you want me to do? Put it in.
Just put it in. Have a little bit of a chew on it.
Chew it. Right,
So
okay.
don't neck it straight off because that's kind of cheating. I mean, that will still hurt, but Yeah, just chew it in there. Keep it.
What is
I mean,
this?
it won't. It'll be slightly uncomfortable.
Right,
But
okay.
yeah, just have a little chew on it
Yeah.
and just see how long you can go without the milk. I imagine probably not that long.
Okay.
The silence is
Man,
deafening.
he's looking at me like, oh man, we need something if you want to spit it out, mate. There's a cup there.
Oh, no, he's going for it. He's going for it. Here he is. Remember that?
Warming up.
I'm looking to you, brother. See if you can tell me.
How long do I have to last?
Well, you need to swallow it, and then it's like an afterburn. So if you
Right.
if you can go, it must be getting worse than this. Like he's just bulletproof. This man.
Maybe just a hard case.
Tongue man.
Or,
How you feeling?
Oh my God. My teeth.
I won't keep the milk hostage too much longer. I'm going to put it there in front of you in case you need to resort to it. Is anyone doing like a little timer? We could add the timer afterwards.
we'll have the timer afterwards because he's setting the benchmark.
Oh, wasn't gonna be sick.
Do you want me to get something?
Go get a bucket or something.
Well, if you
We
throw
haven't got a bucket.
Oh, didn't
it
last very long, did I? Jesus, my tongue's on fire.
might actually get worse. So if you want to like take the edge off, you might want to put some milk in and swill it a little, just and kind of keep the milk in your mouth.
Do you want me to get the sugar?
A couple of spoonfuls of sugar might help you as well if you want that. I don't mean in like the Mary Poppins sense. I mean it actually might help a
I
little.
tell you what, you could tell he was good at poker back in the day because this man's got some poker face, hasn't he?
It took a little
Trying
while.
to figure out what's going on in my mouth.
I can't tell if you're still in pain or if the poker face is still in effect. You all right? You're all right now? Yeah.
Oh, no, tongue's on fire still. I think the worst is gone.
Well, that's the relief. If you do something spicy and it doesn't keep escalating, then I'm getting a little bit of a power trip now though from putting such a successful bloke through something.
As soon as they did it, I thought this is a fucking terrible idea. We shouldn't do this.
Imagine the effects on the economy. A big entrepreneur like this, we kill him with some hot chocolate.
We've got JD Sports knocking on the door like, you dickheads. You've just broke HairBurst. How you feeling, mate?
The milk's doing me a treat, actually.
Yeah, well, there's some more there if you need it.
I thought water would be a
No,
saviour.
water's like the worst thing. It has to be like something fat soluble, honestly, because like if you drink, in fact, semi-skim milk is pretty bad. You should have whole milk.
Well,
Or like ice cream is actually the best, like Ben & Jerry's, because it's got sugar.
shopping list. Mate, let's wrap this up. I'm so impressed with how well you've done with that.
This milk saved me. Jesus.
Mate, well, all I can say is thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with us. I probably would have given more effort to this outro if you'd have invested in all the stands, because like that's it, I ain't got me 2 million quid. But I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Any final words of wisdom for the listeners and watchers in the life of an entrepreneur?
Yeah, don't eat that chocolate.
And you could get like a little, I'm sure it doesn't need the promo, right? But I've not tried the product. I thought you were going to bring some samples. I know it's like a ladies' hair brand, but you know, if you want to check them out, was it hairburst.com or something?
HairBurst on Instagram, yeah.
Oh, yeah, just go on Instagram.
That's it. Nothing else needs to be said, mate. On to the next episode. But thanks everyone for listening and watching. You can follow us on all the social media platforms. We do actually have a handle at Breaking Bread PD.
PD, I don't know why you came up with that, but the Breaking Bread podcast was taken. So, yeah, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.